If you want to do well in chemistry, you really need to master using conversion factors, because conversion factors will allow you to convert between similar units, and we'll also have a few that let us get between dissimilar units. When I say similar units, I mean things like different kinds of length or different kinds of temperatures, just the different units that we have. Now, we can use any equality at all to make one of these, and here's a few common equalities that we can bring up. There's going to be 360 degrees and 2 radians. We don't use that often in chemistry, but it's important to point at. 1 mile is 5,280 feet. 1 exam is 1 ream of paper long. 12 items will be a dozen. And all of those are true except probably the exam being 1 ream of paper long. Now, anytime that we do that, what we can do is we can divide those two values by each other. And since we're still talking about the same object, we're talking about the same length. If I were to make a meter stick here, we'll pretend it's a meter stick at least, and I were to say that on this side we had 12 inches, and on this side we had, that'd be 30.5 centimeters. These two objects would be the same length. We're just describing it two different ways. We can either use option A or option B. But they're still talking about the same thing. And that one object is going to end up being the value 1. It's the entirety of it. We're not talking about small pieces of it. We're just saying an entire mile equals an entire 5,280 feet. And it doesn't need to have a unit on it. Well, there's something neat there. Since they're equal, and it's the value 1, we can multiply anything times the value 1. And here's what's going to happen. If I were to say that I had 300 feet, what I can do is I can take that same conversion factor that I just wrote, 1 mile, divide it by 5,280 feet. Now anything that's on the top of a fraction or on the bottom of a fraction can cross-cancel each other, right? If we were to multiply these together. So you can see here all that we need to do is multiply 300 times 1 divided by 5,280. Feet will cross-cancel, and the only unit that's left behind is a mile. So from that, I can actually do the conversion directly to find out how many feet are in a mile. So let's take a look at what that would be. We take 300 times 1 divided by 5,280. And that's going to give us 0.0568. There we are. And that'll be in units of miles. I'll go ahead and abbreviate it. And let me clean that up. There we are. But notice something important here. When we do this conversion factor, the way this number is written is sloppy. As written, it really has only one sig fig, because only the 3 is significant, the 0 and the 0. There's nothing communicating that I know those exactly, so we don't really know about it. Now if I had put a decimal point right there, then this would be 3 sig figs, and I would end up rounding to 3 sig figs. So you can see that a football field is going to be a little bit more than 1/20th of a mile. The conversion factors can let us get answers very quickly. Now, the other way I like to point that one out, and you see it written down here, if I have 1 ton of feathers, or 1,000 kilograms of feathers, it's going to be the same pile of feathers either way. So even though I'm using a big counting unit, and I'm using lots of little counting units, they end up being the same thing. Now that's a great way to double check your work too when you start writing these conversion factors. Make sure that you have one big thing equaling lots of little things. And that'll be your quick reality check with this.